Welcome back to Six Sided. Like, share, subscribe. Loads to talk about today as Chelsea announced the biggest ever losses for a football club in England ever since football began at 342 million. That is a huge cry from the 128 million pound profit of last season, which was only achieved by selling their own assets, which UEFA rejected as legitimate income, and the loophole is now closed. What does this mean for Chelsea's future? How much further trouble could they be in? We're delving into that in more detail. Plus, we're talking about the big game this weekend. Arsenal host Chelsea at the Emirates. Will there be a murder, as Ian Wright said, or could Chelsea shock the Premier League? We're talking Morgan Rogers. Is he worth £100 million, as per the words of Mark Goldbridge? Jamie O'Hara thinks Manchester United are close to challenging for a Premier League title. We're discussing that on the show today, and also a really big conundrum question later in the show, but food for thought for you guys. What's the bigger bottle job this season? Arsenal winning no trophies or Tottenham getting relegated? We're getting into all that and much more on the show today. David is here with us. He's taken a break from building Formula One cars, and he's here to give us his views on football. Tom Little's in the house, looking very well. And the longer your hair gets, the more like K-Mac you start to look. Is K-Mac your daddy? Is K-Mac your daddy? Is K-Mac your daddy? Negative, a.k.a. the realist Gooner, Dan, is with us here today in one of the plushest looking flats I've ever seen. Just shows how well the YouTube channel is doing. And that FTV money is starting to pay off there. But welcome, gentlemen. Welcome back to the show. How are we all?
Good.
All right. All good.
All good. Great. Can't complain.
And that feels nice to be winning at the minute. Like, I feel like a winner again. I love it.
Man United are in a good place right now. I can't lie. From the dark place you was, there seems to be light at the end of that tunnel at the moment, man. Something I'm not happy about, if I'm being honest.
I hear you, bro. It's very nice. It's very nice to actually look forward to games again. 2 years of dreading them. It feels very, very nice. And that's where we're going to start today. Obviously, United play Crystal Palace this weekend, looking to make it 6 wins out of 7. But a point was made by Jamie O'Hara this week. So, Tom, fact or fiction? Man United are not a million miles away from winning the Premier League trophy.
No, you're not close. I wouldn't say United are close per se. There's still a fair way to go. That squad isn't good enough for one. We have no idea who your manager's going to be for the second, because Carrick's only here for the short term. So you could change it up in the summer and then you're back at square one again. I think that this is the thing that happens with United. United get a decent little run going, and then everyone goes all the way overboard with them. United can get top 4. United need to get consistent top 4 before we even start debating a title challenge. This would be what you got top 4 under Ten Hag, and that was in his first season, and that was what 2023. So we'd be on what 23, 24, 24, 25. This would be the first time in 3 years that you get top 4. We're not. I can't sit there and go that team's then going to jump to a title challenge in the next year or two. It's a long way from that. So United just, especially the fans, they need to keep themselves grounded at this point in time and appreciate the fact that the focus now is on building that steady top 4 team. You know, you've got some good players in there. You've got your Mbuemos, your Cunhas, your Fernandezes, your Kobe Mainus, your Sesko, and all that. The guys that are now starting to develop. But that it's an alright core. But a core doesn't get you to where you want to be. United need to spend the next 2 years adding the piece that they need to that squad, sorting out that defence, which is decent but needs work on it, sorting out the midfield because certain guys aren't going to be. You need to find a Casemiro replacement for one. You need to start getting good depth in there. I think that it's to say title challenge, no. You are certainly a ways away from City, Arsenal, and theoretically we should be further ahead of you, and I think we would be further ahead of you most of the other time. I certainly think we're as a squad more advanced and close to a title challenge than you are. I think that's where United need to aim for. They need to start pulling away from the group they're in, of the Villas and the Chelseas, before they start thinking about, can we get to the Arsenals and the Cities of this world? Keep grounded. Appreciate the steps you've taken, because it wasn't, we're talking about less than 12 months ago now, where United were finishing 15th. Like, we're not here for title challenges yet. United can't be thinking about title challenges for at least 2 years. At least 2. You need to build that squad up first.
Yeah, close is crazy. I don't know who. This is what I see, because everyone's got to be sensationalist now. Yes, they're close to a title, but they're just not. Like, they aren't. They're one thing people are forgetting. They have no Europe. That's massive. When you've got no Europe, you're just doing your thing. They're out of all their cup competitions as well, so they get to train for the full week, learn new system, do that. They can do that over and over and over again. And normally those teams get better results. So, I don't know why everyone's got to be so extreme. They're doing really well. They're doing probably better than most people thought they'd be doing. Just keep it calm. And I know the thing is, most United fans are keeping it calm, but it will come from the outside, where everyone's like, look at the 6.
Jamie O'Hara
Right.
said this, by the way. It wasn't a Man United individual. I agree, by the way. Before I go down, I totally agree. And I wanted to bring it up because I wanted to speak about it today. It's an absolute piece of fiction. Our squad was... Listen, have we been presented with an opportunity this year because Newcastle, Chelsea and Liverpool have not been as good as everybody predicted? Yes. We've had to win the games, though, because if we had failed to win them, we'd be where they all are and lower in the league, potentially. But we are playing one game a week. We have a squad that once we start rotating would get exposed in European football and in the league. We are a million miles away from winning the Premier League. Closing the gap on Arsenal is one thing, but closing the gap and then having the quality, the mental fortitude, and even the right manager, because we have no idea if Carrick's him yet, to actually get over the line and win a Premier League. And I just implore Man United fans to enjoy what's happening. We don't need to over-scrutinize what's going on right now. We wait until the summer and the new manager is appointed. Enjoy the wins, enjoy the moments, celebrate and be happy if we're back in the Champions League. But I implore every Man United fan to not get carried away, to not become an extremist, to not become a sensationalist, to not start over-egging the team, because you know what normally happens when people start doing that? And there is a mental phenomenon with this. People start believing their own bullshit. And then when the team goes through some setbacks, they after time start taking it out on the team that they themselves have overhyped. So it ends up becoming a little bit of a poison chalice that they didn't create. I always remember being a kid and there was all this talk from the media. The media, by the way, not Wayne Rooney, not Sir Alex Ferguson, no one at Man United. The media, that he could go on to be as good as Pele. And he was brilliant, Rooney, but he was never as good as Pele. And I remember listening to it go, he let us down, really, didn't he? Why? Never got to that Pele level. What, the level that you said he might get to, not that he committed. Like, imagine your missus has a go at you. Oh, you let me down this week. Oh, what did I do? Dan's like, what have I done? What have I done? Well, I expected you to, I don't know, make £1 million this week. Oh, did we discuss that I was going to do it? No, I just assumed you might. It's just crazy, right? You can't have someone set you unrealistic expectations, not tell you about them, and then have a go at you for not achieving them. And that is what Man United fans are going to end up doing again. We're going to, we did it with Ten Hag. When everyone was getting mad, Ten Heisenberg, we're on our way back. We're going to win the league. We did it with Ollie. Ollie's at the wheel. We big it up too much, and we don't live in reality. We still have an average to good squad. We have a decent interim manager at the moment. Enjoy it. Don't go too far. Don't add fuel to the fire that the media is ready to pounce on us with either. So, yeah, I agree with you 100%, David. We're a long way away from it, but that doesn't mean we can't enjoy these moments. Doesn't mean we should be unhappy with the wins. When it comes to Palace at the weekend, we're winning that game, by the way. I think we'll beat them at home. I'm really, really confident going into the match. But even then, title talk and all of that sort of nonsense, drop me out, mate. Drop me out.
Yeah, keep your feet grounded, Man United fans. As an Arsenal fan, you know me, Terry. I always say that about Arsenal. So with Man United, I think they just need to stay grounded from where they've come, from the dark place they was with the Amarin. They're in a good place, and it's a time to be happy. It's a time to be positive. but don't get carried away. Now, if you're saying, are they a million miles away? I wouldn't say a million, maybe 1,000. They're still a long way away. But you just got to look at what they've been doing underneath Carrick. When talking about titles, they say you've got to beat your rivals for the title. They've beat Man City this season. They've beaten Arsenal this season. So that's a positive. But their squad depth, and as David alluded to, they're playing one game a week. I think if you get an injury to someone like Bruno Fernandes, you're not looking at the same Man United team. So just take your time, Man United, and just remain calm. Because as I say to my Man United fans, when it starts crumbling again, I'll be there. Yeah? And I'll be on the phone. Trust me.
But it's also part of it as well. I mean, some people in the chat, they're sort of Terry, but what if, and this is a true fault, maybe Ineos have been doing a much better job than any of us could see. They kept Ten Hag and they appointed a terrible manager in Amorim. But maybe everything else, the recruitment, the cultural element, the work rate, the ethos of the club, maybe that has all started to change and we haven't been able to see the fruits of that labor because we had a bad head coach. There is logic in that. Some believe it, some don't. But let's just live in the world where that's true. We haven't got I know that some people need sensationalism for their content, right? They need it all the time, every step of the way. Some might say I need it. I'm open to that suggestion or criticism because I'm a big boy and I'm a big boy in every way and I can take it. And it's just the truth. And David's seen me in the shower. You know what I mean? So it's one of them things. But like, that's not true.
Why do it have to be me?
It just was. It just you. But no, like, just keep our feet on the ground. Did you say? Let's not create unrealistic expectations. And if people are saying,
I was thinking though, Terry, if you would have got rid of Amorim a bit earlier, remember you're 13 points behind. You win that game in hand. You're 10 points off the top of the league. You got rid of Amorim a bit earlier. Is it crazy to say you would have an extra 2 wins maybe and be 4 points off the top of the table? So that's why I say you're not a million miles away, but maybe 1,000.
Where you could be right is if we'd have sacked him 4 games, 5 games, 6 games earlier, maybe we're a couple of points off Arsenal right now. Maybe we're in the title race this year. But everything, even if we went on to win the league, I would view that still potentially as more of a flash in the pan moment because we're playing 1 game a week. You saw it when Antonio Conte took over what was probably a better overall squad of Chelsea's. He comes in, first 2 games was bad, 3 games, changes the system. They end up getting 90 points. The following year, when the Champions League was back, rotation came into it, nowhere near the same level. Now, some of that is Antonio Conte and the way he behaves, and he didn't get everything he wanted. But that's also part of the issue. Playing 1 game a week is very different from playing like Arsenal, like Chelsea, like City have done this season, Liverpool, 2 games a week, pretty much every week. This week here is one of your first, the week just gone was one of the first weeks in how long that you guys haven't actually played a game and you could rest and train. So there's a long way to go until I think we're at that level. So look, for me, I'm just enjoying the moment. I actually don't think United fans should get dragged into the conversations about where we're going, where we're going to be, what are we going to achieve. I find it all a bit, it's like every week, do you want to keep Carrick? Same answer as the first week you asked me. I'm going to assess it at the end of the season because I don't know if I want him right now. I don't know who else is available. I don't know how good or bad a job he's going to do overall. He's been brilliant so far. What if he loses his next 7 games? My mind might change. So I'm just not engaged. We know what the club's doing, and the club isn't making a decision until after the season ends. So I'm just not participating in the debates until then. If Luis Enrique suddenly says, I want to come, then I want Luis Enrique. But you know what? If the choices are Poch, Southgate, De Zerbi, Glasner, and Carrick, right now I'm saying Carrick. But that also might change if Carrick starts losing loads of games. So I don't really know right now. What I want is the best available manager for Man United. So not the best available manager, the best available manager for Man United and where we are. If we make, see, people say Zidane. Yes, I'd love Zidane, but Zidane doesn't want to come and manage in England. So he's not in my wheelhouse. I don't think about Zidane because he isn't here. You know, so I think a lot of people are unhappy in this world now. Everybody sort of thinks it's the Instagram generation. Or maybe I can get a wife who looks like Kim Kardashian. No, you can't. Stop setting that as the expectation. You're only ever going to be disappointed. You know what I'm saying? Like, life ain't like that. I don't know about you boys. Maybe you boys are absolutely loving life in that way. Maybe you've got your own Kim Kardashian. I know David hasn't. You know, for facts, right? I know Tom hasn't. Tom made up his girlfriend on AI when we were in Germany.
What have I done to you? What have I done to you, Terry? What have I done to you?
Yeah, I think my missus ain't too far away, Terry. I'll be honest. And with Kim Kardashian's history, mate. Yeah, man.
Big up yourself, Dan. She's listening. You've got to say it. I understand. I get it. I bet she's a Brahma. But no, Tom, it is true, isn't it, David, that Tom made up a girlfriend when we were in Germany. He made her up. The whole thing was fake.
No, she was real. No, she was real. We went to the same university.
Yeah. That was the best story. We can't tell that story online because of cancellation policies. But it's one of the funniest stories. We'll tell Realist Dan after the show. One of the realest, funniest stories and moments I've ever had. That and who Tom fancies, or he doesn't know if he fancies. Those two stories are the best two moments from Germany. They're better than the football. They were better than the football. Like, share, and subscribe, please, people. Get that done for us. But no, I just want to address United early on in this. David, it's been announced today that Chelsea Football Club have issued the biggest losses, not just in Premier League, but in English football history. 407 million euros. That's around 342 million pounds of losses have been made, which is, of course, some Chelsea fans are going to go and defend. Clear Lake. They're going to stand for them. Clear Lake have issued a few statements, to be fair, in their defense, essentially stating that they're not concerned, they're not too worried, that this won't affect their UEFA settlement. They still haven't yet breached PSR. The losses largely come down to one-time costs from tying up historic issues, is the word they use. But to see your club not push on from last year, the fact or fiction question that we have for you on the back of this is fact or fiction. Chelsea fans should be furious with BlueCo. The club has posted the largest losses in English football history and have gone backwards on the pitch.
Fact, because we have gone backwards, and it should just be Chelsea fans should be furious at BlueCo. End of. I don't need added reasons. There are so many reasons on the field that is enough for me to be annoyed. Because why on earth is Tosin Adarabioyo still playing centre-back at this club? Why is Trevor Chalobah still playing football at this club? Why is Robert Sanchez still in my net? I don't know. Why does Liam Delap get minutes? There's so many problems. Who in the summer sanctioned Garnacho and Gittins? Who sanctioned that? Please. Because whoever did, they need to be named and shamed. I don't need the losses. The losses is what it is. I don't know football finances. I did a very quick read of The Athletic, and The Athletic are like, yeah, it's a big loss. It's the biggest they've ever seen since Barcelona did like 500 mil in COVID. But they seem to be operating in the way that they've agreed with UEFA. So to me, it's like, I don't know enough about it for me to be like, oh my God, this is a career ender. My club's over from a financial point of view. I'm just annoyed at everything else that's been going on with my club. Because after we sacked Maresca, that was my moment of going, yeah, they really don't know what's going on. They really don't know what's going on. Because they've got youngsters. The youngsters they've got no consistency. And that was my issue when we sacked Poch and then got Maresca in the first place. My issue was that this will not breed consistency that these players need to grow. And again, we've cut our manager. We've started again from the beginning, and we've started playing. We haven't even played that well. That's what's annoying. But we're not even playing that well. We're winning matches. We're not playing well. But everyone sat there going like, "Well, Chelsea have won 7 of their last 9 games," and I'm just like, we haven't beaten anyone half decent, and we just haven't. Like, anytime we played someone who's good, we've lost, or we sat back. No, we've actually just lost every game. We've lost every game to someone decent. Can't beat Burnley. Can't beat Leeds. We can't beat the teams we should be beating. Too many times Man United or Liverpool have dropped points and we've not capitalised. It's poor all round. The only saving grace is that João Pedro has decided to start shooting. The one saving grace we've had all season. But apart from that, yeah, everyone's off it. So it's fact. Chelsea fans should be furious with BlueCo, but it has nothing to do with the losses. It should all be focused on the field.
Just on the losses, so they, what Chelsea have stated. No, it should be, but I just want to, because the viewers are asking about them, and we'll get back to it on the field. Despite that, because I think the losses play a part here. It says, despite the vast, this is a summary that was put together for me from a friend of mine. I did have time to read it, but I sent it through to a friend of mine who still works in PB, the private bank, and said, can you just put a summary together for me in layman's terms so I can read it out loud? And he says, despite the vast losses, he says, Chelsea is reportedly operating under the UEFA settlement agreement reached last year. Under this deal, the projected losses were pre-approved by UEFA so that they stay within those agreed projections. So, yes, they lost. I know they made £128 million profit in reality last year, but that was due to selling the women's team and hotels to themselves. The Premier League accepted that because they had to under their rules. UEFA rejected it. So you made a loss. So it was 128 million loss in 22. I think it was 90 million in 23. And then the 24 season was around about 120 million again in losses. So therefore these sanctions came in. You've had an 80 million pound fine. I think 40 million has been paid. 40 million has been deferred. So what happened in those settlements is Chelsea were able to say, look, based on historic issues, fines, players we're paying for, this is what our losses are going to look like, and UEFA have essentially agreed to them. That's what Chelsea are telling us. Whether that's the reality of the situation or not, none of us are going to know just now. I don't think Chelsea, and I'm not saying Chelsea are lying, Chelsea could 100% be telling the truth. That being said, other teams have sort of said they're operating within agreements and then face fines. I've seen this before from multiple teams. So it says that those settlements terms mean UEFA hasn't imposed additional penalties beyond the existing compliant plans. So what the existing plans mean is every summer up until 2029, you guys have to be in a positive space when it comes to the players you buy and the players that you sell. If you're not and you're losing money in those areas, you're going to be in trouble. But what's interesting is a lot of the losses in your last year's trading is writing off players who've got a bad book value, which means you can only get 20, 30 million for them in the transfer market, but you owe 50, 60 million pounds on them. So they're in a bad. So a lot of these losses are because you wrote those losses off essentially to get them out of the way so they don't impact future years. The problem that you have with this is if the new crop of players like Garnacho are sold at a loss, then you're going to that is not going to fit within your projections because you're allowed to write this,
which they will be,
which they may. So I think this is where, for me, when I look at the financial side of this, and it's very complicated, I don't think Chelsea fans should be panicking today and saying, oh my God, we're going to go bankrupt in a week or a month. That isn't the case. If Chelsea qualify for the Champions League for the next 2 or 3 seasons, I believe they're going to be absolutely okay. The problems lie for Chelsea still where they were 2 years ago. You can no longer sell any assets to yourself. You can no longer sell your women's football team or your youth team to yourself to make profits. You have to be in the Champions League and you have to be competing for the major trophies and you have to be optimizing the prize money, getting in the sponsorships. Because if you don't, then that's when you're going to come a cropper. Because without the Champions League football, you have been operating anywhere between 90 to 100 to 342 million pounds worth of losses. If your recruitment doesn't improve, the players you then look to flip and sell are not going to make you the profits that are needed. And then this is where it becomes about the pitch. For you guys to get better on the pitch, you need better players that cost more, that want higher wages. And if you're not growing your revenues by being in Europe, but you're at risk of that being fined massively from UEFA, it's a massive risk to then go, right, we'll buy Morgan Rogers at 100 million and pay him 250 a week. We'll buy Bastoni at 50 million and pay him 250 a week. Because if you then don't get in the Champions League and you've increased your outgoings, the losses are higher. So this is where I think what Chelsea, the supporters club should be doing, is putting a lot of pressure for honest answers from the club. They may not want to divulge them publicly, but I think you've got to put a lot of pressure on them here, because at the end of the day, there's a lot of spin when it comes to finances. But my general view, as someone who comes from a financial background, is when you're making massive losses, and you have been since 2021, 90s, 120s, 340s, when you're running a loss like that, when you're in and out of European football, when you've been struggling to get shirt sponsors, when you're doing all those things, that ain't a good position to be in. I'm not saying it's disastrous and you're going to go out of business tomorrow, but it ain't a good space to be in. No one wants to see their club losing that amount of money because there's only so long you can go on losing that type of money and not getting back into the Champions League, not winning the major trophies. Man United earn more money than Chelsea do. Our revenue's higher. But there's only so much time we can spend outside of Europe or we're going to end up in trouble. You know, we had to make massive cost-cutting exercises at the football club, and we've done that. We've gone from losing 120 million a year to being projected to make around 50 to 80 million pound in profit. So it is doable. And as much as I don't care about the profit from, we got a profit award, I care about that money being invested into my squad because what happens on the pitch is important to us. But just looking at this Chelsea situation, I do think Chelsea fans maybe shouldn't be absolutely fuming, but you've got to be concerned. I think this is not a time, whether you understand finance or not, to bury your head in the sand. And my other view is don't just go, yes, sir, no, sir, 3 bags full, sir, to the first response Chelsea give you. Because the way they've responded to this news article, I've seen this from banks. I've seen this from businesses. I used to work in a department of the bank, used to wind up companies that were in debt, and it'd always fucking tell you it was all okay and there'll be no problems with the inland revenue. 9 times out of 10, these fuckers got shut down. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, it's quite a normal thing to say it's all okay over here. So I think Chelsea fans have to put a lot of pressure on their club here because for me, this is not a good look. I don't know what Dan and Tom feel about this.
It's almost like the wonderful idealistic model doesn't actually work in the wonderful idealistic way they said it would because it's inherently flawed. If your entire model is built around buying young players, developing them, and selling them for a profit, but you don't play the young players because you have a set amount of players that need to play and you have ambitions as a football club to go above and beyond, that means, as you said, these players they brought in to sell for good book value end up being cut off because they've got bad book value, and all you do is hemorrhage money and gain no advantage on the football pitch. So the guys that you actually want to keep around because they're actually quite good and they've actually developed, they're not going to sit there until 2032 going, oh, this is great, this. We can't improve as a team. We can't advance because we're, sandbagged by the previous 7 years of buying young players who we couldn't shift because they didn't develop in the way forwards. So we are stuck as we are. But that's okay. That's fine. Well, you look at the transfers that they made. I saw something say about Garnacho going in the summer. Well, you're not making your money back on him for one. So straight away, there's more money down the pan. There's more money down the pan. This whole model doesn't work because football doesn't work in that way that these American sports do, where that model does work. It doesn't work in the same way. So trying to just translate it won't work.
Tom, the thing is, it doesn't spending money for years, though. They've just been doing this for years. I'll be honest with you. They was banned. They had a transfer ban.
No.
It's a mess.
No, we haven't.
It's a mess, Dave. It's a mess, my friend.
We haven't. No, it is a mess. But we haven't been doing this for years. You've been spending a lot of money for years. But looking at if you're just going to look at it and say Chelsea are spending money, and just say we've been doing that for years, that's a really bad way to look at this problem, because it's two completely different. It's two completely different ways of spending money. Because old we'll spend money on the best players and pay them whatever we want. This new solution is we're going to spend as much money on as much as we can and see what we can get away with. It's two very different problems. Because with Roman, what we wanted was, we get you want to sign the best people, but you've got no base. So there was both things have the same root problem, but they manifest in different ways. The Roman problem was you end up with all of these players who then some of them aren't good and they get stuck there because you can't shift them on because they're on 200k a week. Whereas this one, the issue is that because, again, we have no base level of player because they're all 21 years old and you can't have a base of 21-year-olds, the performances are too up and down and none of them get any better because they have no one to look up to. Even in American sports, everyone loves to be like, oh, Chelsea just copying what they do in America. This is not what they do in America, because in America, all the best teams have players that are elite players and are of a certain age. I can't think of many championship teams in American sports who have just gone full youngster and that's it. Even OKC last year, I know I'm getting into basketball, but OKC last year, whilst they had loads of youngsters, still had some veterans on the bench. That when the youngsters are doing typical youngster stuff, these guys go like, everyone, let's calm it down. This is what we need to do. Get in your position, let's run this basic level of thing. And at least for them as well, the coach was experienced. Chelsea's squad it's young coaching, young players, young owners. The owners have no idea what they're doing. It doesn't take a genius to know that Garnacho, who didn't work at Man United and has massive attitude problems, would come to Chelsea and have the same issues. It doesn't take a genius to work out. Like it just doesn't. Gittins is one where you go, okay, fine, you tried something, it didn't work, cool, whatever. Liam Delap, another one, you tried something, it didn't work. But again, Gittins is an overspend. Delap is more of what you'd think Chelsea would be doing. Loads of 30 mil signings that if they don't work out, you could sell them on. But when you're signing Garnacho for 45, there is no opportunity to flip him. It just doesn't exist.
And I feel in this where the biggest... Listen, you guys make it back into the Champions League this year. You qualify again the following year. You win a few trophies. you were going to get by. But the way I sort of look at this is that it's a bit like having a house where you're not struggling to pay your mortgage, but you're just about there. But you're like, if I don't hit my bonuses this year and get the bonus, I'm not going to have enough money. And getting in the Champions League is like the bonus that you need. Now, if every year you hit your sales target and every year you get your bonus, you're going to be okay. The problems come in the years in which you don't hit your bonuses. And I think that's the issue here for Chelsea, because I think what Chelsea have got to do this summer is go and think, let's not debate the players for a moment, but you will understand where I'm coming from. Let's go and get Bastoni. Let's go and get Barella. Let's go and sign Elise. Let's go and sign, who did I mention? Tonali. I'm just naming players that are of a high level experience. But the problem is with those signings, they're as expensive, if not more, than the players you're currently buying. Plus, they're going to want massive salaries. Those guys are going to want to come in on 250s, £300,000 a week. And it appears like Chelsea, unless they start selling that vat of players that they spent £1 billion on that aren't in your first team, unless they start selling them at a significant profit, and then remember, it's got to be significant, because there are loads of things to factor in. If somebody comes in on 50 grand a week and they with you for 18 months, you paid their agent 4 or 5 million and you paid 25 million for them, it isn't just about selling them you can't sell them for 26 million pound and make a profit. Because and this is the problem with net spend. Don't think net spend, ladies and gentlemen, because net spend doesn't work that way. One, how much of that player have you paid off already? How much have you spent in other areas to land that individual? Because sometimes the example would be Erling Haaland. Erling Haaland didn't cost Man City 52 million pounds. He cost them somewhere in the region of 150 million pounds, then plus the astronomical wages that he's on, because of all the agent fees they had to pay out. So for them to truly turn a profit on him, they would have to sell him for over 150 million pounds to get everything back that they invested into him. Otherwise, it's still going into the loss column. And I think that's the issue with a lot of this model so far. Who are the genuine question, though? Who are the young players you bought that you have flipped for big money? Who are they?
Oh, it's like
that Vega. You got some money on that Vega kid, didn't you?
Renato Vega. It's like the Brazilians, like Angelo. I think we signed for like 5 million and sold for like 25 or something to Saudi.
Noni Madueke could be one.
But honestly,
Terry, that's what I was going to say. If you want to make some money, just knock on Arsenal's door. We always take the players, man. Good money as well. We'll give you good money.
You want to sign 30 players? You want 30 players, mate? Is that what you want? Because I can give them to you.
We'll probably take about 3 at this rate. I'll tell you that much.
But it's like, because I remember the guy. Like, there's been ones that he's like that. David Datso Fofana. He was going to be one of these ones. He's still there.
He's still at the club.
You had that one. What was his name? Washington, the Brazilian striker. Don't even know what happened to him. Like, there's all these guys.
Funny. Most of the players we get a profit on end up at Strasbourg.
Yeah, and they're actually in the top 5 teams.
And they're in the top 10 as well.
Yeah,
right?
it's all. Yeah. I mean, you have sold some, but again, there's players like Amari Hutchinson, but they were from your academy. But it's the deals like Lukaku for about 25 million pounds. The losses on a deal like him would have been.
That was just. Do you know? Again, it just what Chelsea need is a sporting director with a brain. Like I mean that in the nicest way possible. Like I assure the guys at the top right now are highly educated, know way more about football and whatever than me. But again, it does not take a genius to know that Romelu Lukaku, who in the Prem, whilst he did score goals, did struggle, isn't a good signing at 100 mil. It's just not. Like it's interesting. A good signing.
In the season that you've made those losses, you sold £237 million worth of players as well. Which again, I'm not saying you'll be able to. You'll stop selling players. Last year, you sold even. I mean, your finances for this season will be better because of Champions League money and World Club Cup money, which is like 100 million. There's 200 million there, and he sold 334 million pounds worth of players. So revenue-wise, is going to be astronomical when this comes out. The problem is that you're not going to get World Club Cup money again. You may not be able to sell that for that amount of money again. And it's about that. If you don't make the Champions League, then what happens when you go into the 26-27 season is theoretically, and this is why it's so important on the pitch now. If you don't make the Champions League, that's not 100 million of revenue gone because you might be in another form of Europe, but probably 50 to 60 million gone. No Club World Cup money. It's 100 odd million gone. That's 160 got wiped off straight away. And let's say you sell 200 million pounds of players. From a revenue perspective, you're going to be 200 to 250 million pound down on your revenue. But what you actually have to do is increase your outgoings moving forward and buy better players on higher salaries. And that's why I'm saying to people, I don't think this is like, you're not at ground zero today. This isn't Armageddon today, but it's so connected to the way you play football. And as much as I know a lot of fans don't like the finances, they do that whole, it's not my money, so I don't care. You fucking should. No club running at losses like this over the previous years that isn't progressing back towards the big time can sustain it. There comes a point where what might end up being your solution this year or next is this is where you might be forced into doing. And this is where I think Chelsea fans are worried, because this theory has been pushed around for a long time that Chelsea may have to sell a Cole Palmer. Chelsea may have to sell a Caicedo or an Enzo who they don't want to. And as much as some Chelsea fans will reject that and say, no chance, no way, impossible, if your finances don't start improving, I don't see why it isn't possible.
Especially if they don't get Champions League this year.
The way I could shift Enzo Fernandez tomorrow is so easily.
That might be the way. But viewers, look, give us your thoughts and opinions. This here says Chelsea about to be a vulture capitalist. London Red. Well, they're owned by venture capitalists, so I'm not surprised to see this. Thank you, Luke, for encouraging everybody hitting the like and the share button. We have never played more than 3 games for decades.
Or have we never? I think he's a United fan. And he's bringing up the point of us saying it's better to play 1 game a week. Yes, United in the past have played 3 games in a week before, but the whole point was United title challenge. You've never challenged for a title while playing 3 games a week. You've never challenged for a title realistically close in the past decade. You were 19 points off Chelsea?
No, 13 years. 13 years.
You were 19 points off Man City when you finished second in 17-18.
We haven't been in a title race since Sir Alex Ferguson retired. It's that's the cold hard facts of the matter.
So, regardless of whether you're playing 1 game, 2 games, 3 games, United have got no history in recent times of being able to handle it. So we as it stands, you're better off playing 1 game a week.
Yeah, agreed.
Because it's when you showed your best form.
This here says, how likely are Bodo Glimt to win the Champions League?
Absolutely 0%.
Yeah,
very, very low chance.
I mean, unless they got to play, I think that artificial pitch helps them a bit because they're used to playing on it. But
they've beat some big teams this season, man.
I think they've capitalized on playing the big teams that aren't in good form.
How would you feel, realist Gunnar, if Bodo Glimt won the Champions League before Arsenal?
Yeah, come on, man. I don't even like talking about the Champions League because we never won it, innit? It's a touchy subject.
But what if they beat you along the way as well? Like, you gotta go to the Arctic Circle on the artificial pitch. They get it done. Arteta can't get it over the line, but lost the eventual champions. What
Let's
can you
not
do
do
about
that.
it?
Let's not do that. Please.
And
We'll
Spurs go
speak
on
at the end of the season and see where we're at.
Spurs Bodo Glimp in the final. Can you imagine? If Spurs go down, does O'Hara have a job? I don't know. Well, this brings us into the next fictional fact question. And I heard this. This was a Spurs fan asked this question on TalkSport. And I was like, we've got to talk about it on the Football Terrace. Because fact or fiction, the bigger bottle job. Sorry, it's what would be the bigger Arsenal not winning a trophy this season is a bigger bottle job than Tottenham getting relegated. What we saying?
Nah, Tottenham getting relegated. You can't get much worse than that, if we're being honest. Don't get me wrong. It'll be a big bottle job, as they're calling it, using that word, if Arsenal don't win no trophies. But yeah, if Tottenham get relegated, that will send shockwaves all over the Premier League. Because let's be honest, I'm not saying that they're a massive club, but Tottenham are Tottenham at the end of the day, innit? It's not a team that should be getting relegated. It's not a team that should be where they are at the moment. So for me, that would be the bigger thing. And I mean, the ultra positive Arsenal fans, if we didn't win nothing, you hear the excuses, we went up against Pep and Haaland and Rodri came back in, Ballon d'Or winner. So there'll be excuses, but it'll always be Tottenham getting relegated for me.
Yeah, Arsenal are good. Arsenal are a really good side. And if they don't win something, I am convinced that they are cursed. I mean, they can win a Carabao Cup. I'm talking about the big two. That's really the only thing I care about. So if Arsenal don't win either of those two competitions, I'd be very shocked. But Spurs are not bad enough for that to even be a question. Spurs should be nowhere near this relegation zone. Nowhere near. The way Spurs fans act and the squad that they have should mean they should never be near the relegation zone. When Arsenal dropped points 2 weeks ago, these Spurs fans were like, watch us come and do something. When has anyone ever relied on Spurs?
Yeah, you can't.
Do you know what I mean? These guys were moving like, but they're on 29 points after 24 games.
Yeah, and what's concerning is
look at us. We're gonna get points off Arsenal. No, you weren't. Are you what? Who do you think you are?
Crazy. And they was near the bottom last season. Oh, that's what's even more concerning. Is last season they was near the relegation zone as well. So
this is what I mean. It's back. This is back-to-back seasons. I think their top 6 card needs checking. It needs, because right now they're moving like Jamal Adams outside the Jets. The cards, they're trying to get into the club, but it's not letting them in.
Facts.
They can't get into the workplace, bro. 17th? What? 2 years in a row? This is no.
Yeah, when you look at their games as well, there's no gimmies for them in the next few games as well.
That's the thing you've got to look at.
Which they lose. Liverpool away, loss. City away, loss. Any London derby, loss. They ain't winning any of those. So what they got? For their sake, they better hope that Burnley and Leeds are in a really giving mood that day. That's the only way these guys are staying up. Genuinely.
That's the only thing that's going to save them. It's West Ham and Nottingham Forest below them, man.
But West Ham are in some good
they
form.
Should be getting relegated either, West Ham or Nottingham Forest. So crazy old season.
The thing
down
is,
there,
though, you look at them. The Nottingham Forest one is a bit of a weird appointment with that Vitor Pereira, but they'll be all right. They were quite good against us. They'll be all right. West Ham have Nuno. Nuno doesn't get relegated, and then I don't know their exact form, but it seems like they're in some really all right form at the minute.
Yeah,
in terms of getting the results. I mean, they've got in their last 5 games, West Ham, they've drawn, won, lost in the last minute, won. So in the last 6, they've won 3, drawn 2, and lost 1. That form will keep them in the Premier League. And then you look at Tottenham. None of their players have experience in this situation before. Their manager doesn't really have experience of this situation before, and he's never managed in this league. A lot of the fans are completely turned, and the Tottenham simply financially would massively struggle to survive a relegation because they've got £1 billion stadium, which they have to pay for on championship money. And parachute payments, they work if you've got a little 25,000 seater. I don't know how well they work if you've got a 65,000 one. They might end up being the backup moneymaker for that stadium if they're in the Championship. Beyonce concerts, F1 days, whatever events they can get out.
There's going to be
that
something on there
stadium.
every week if they get relegated, mate. Every
That's
week there'll be an event.
Exactly. That's a section off Saturday 3 o'clock, and that's a section off Wednesday 8:30. Outside of that, that is an event hire centre. Anything that can bring them a bit of money, that's what it'll go for. And those players don't have mentality challenging for the top honours. Do we think they can handle the scrutiny and the pressure of a relegation battle when the teams around them are playing quite well?
If you come
in the
third,
dream world, I mean,
race,
Arsenal win the Premier League and
so.
they get relegated. That's the stuff of dreams right there. I'm telling you. I've had Arsenal fans talking about, but no, I don't want them to go down because I like going to the North London. I don't care about the North London derby that much if it means they get relegated. Get them down. That's it. That's
funny with it. The analogy that I saw. Sorry, go on, David. Sorry.
I was going to say, if you come third in a 2-horse race in a relegation battle, you're getting relegated. And that is what Spurs do. That is what they do. It's really dangerous.
The guy on TalkSport that was trying to argue Arsenal being top of the league, top of the Champions League, favourites for the Carabao Cup, and ending up winning nothing. He tried to argue that people expected Spurs to be here, which I think's not. I don't remember anybody talking about relegation. But the analogy I give it for Spurs fans trying to spin this as if we go down, it might still be a worse season for Arsenal. I viewed it this way. Me and Tom both start restaurants on the same street. We both invest similar money, but it turns out Tom's actually invested more money than me into his restaurant over the last 6 years. I am fighting for a Michelin star. My tables are full. The reviews are amazing. But you know what? I just miss out on that Michelin star and I'm gutted. And there's Tom pointing at me, laughing, and ha ha ha, you're a bigger failure than me because you didn't get a Michelin star. You're a bigger bottler. He's laughing and pointing at me as his restaurant's being empty because he's gone bankrupt because his business failed. That is the equivalence of Spurs fans trying to point score against Arsenal if they get relegated and Arsenal don't win a trophy. It's the most stupid thing I've ever seen. Have you seen that guy? He makes brilliant videos. I don't know if they're on TikTok, but I know they're on Instagram. And it'll be of a gymnast doing something in gymnastics. And they'd go to do like a triple flip in the air, but they land on their back really hard. And it cuts to him. He's a really fat guy. He'll have a Big Mac on his belly. And he'll point at the TV and go, oh, what a loser. Right? And obviously, he's people do that, don't they? They have a go at athletes for like messing up while they're sitting there fat, overweight, and can't even touch their own toes, right? And that's what this would be the equivalent of. The idea that the fact that Spurs fans are already trying to plant seeds to deflect. If they get, by the way, no disrespect to Arsenal, maybe if you win a treble or a quad, Spurs getting relegated is a bigger story than Arsenal winning the league. It will be one of the biggest bits of news, and it'll be the biggest relegation since 1974 when United went down. It dwarfs West Ham's relegation, dwarfs Newcastle's and Leeds' relegation because of the stadium, the money, the income, the investment they've made. If Spurs go down from a disaster point of view, from an infamy perspective, it may be the worst moment for a top club post-World War II. Post-World War II, I can't...
It wouldn't be all bad. It wouldn't be all bad. They might be able to shift the Conor Gallagher $200,000 a week contract that they, for some reason, gave him. Because that's the... Honest, that was the maddest thing. I can't believe we're not talking about that. They gave Conor Gallagher $200,000 a week. What? And they said, that is the benchmark for what we want to do in the future. We want him to be the start of what we do. He's the first of the guys that we want to give $200,000+ a week to. How is he your benchmark? How is Conor Gallagher, a guy who couldn't get into Atletico Madrid or Chelsea, your benchmark?
I said it before, I'll say it again. I know these guys are well educated, but do they have a brain? Because I genuinely think if you took like 10 semi-intelligent football fans and put them in a room together and said, you're in charge of Spurs, you've got this much money, you've got your own people that can do all the actual transfers, so it's not like FIFA, but you identify the players that we need to get better, I genuinely am convinced there are large sets of fans that could do a better job than what Spurs have done.
I have to go look it up. I have to go look it up, David.
How you end up in this position is crazy. It's genuinely crazy. This is embarrassing.
I had to go look it up. Conor Gallagher now is on the same money Harry Kane was on when he left Tottenham. Harry Kane's one of the best strikers the Premier League has seen. Conor Gallagher is not even good enough to get in their first choice midfield if everyone's fit, and he's on the same. He's on more money than Heung-min Son was ever on.
Mad.
How is that?
Conor Gallagher
It's the fact. It's the fact that they're sitting here in this moment. They are battling relegation. I did like one of these. I did one of these. Like season predictor things. These websites where you can predict all the rest of the results that will show you the table. In most of them, Tottenham went down. They're under real threat of relegation, and they're talking about now is the new era to start upping our wage bill. Now is when you strip everything back and go, everything we've done for the past 4 years has been wrong, so let's take it in a different direction. Not to continue to give more money, overpay for these substandard players, because you will end up being stuck in these positions.
Do you know what's really crazy about it as well? Why we're one of the worst scenarios ever. This is to do with Man City, but someone's just sent me through sort of shirt sales and the correlation between that and the commercial money you bring in. Spurs sit. This is world football. Only Liverpool, Arsenal, United, Bayern, Real Madrid, and Barca sell more shirts than Tottenham.
What?
Tottenham sell more shirts than Galatasaray, Chelsea, PSG, City quite low. By the way, just to let you guys know, this is the peak of City's success. Man United was still selling 100 million more shirts than them, a pound's worth of shirts per year. Barcelona was selling nearly 200 million pound a year more shirts than them. Yet City's commercial revenues are almost the same as Barca's. Make that make sense. Who are they selling their product? I keep saying this. Sponsors don't sponsor Chelsea to sell products to Nottingham Forest fans. They do it to sell products to Chelsea fans, right? How is it a club that sells a fraction of what others do, has a fraction of the fans getting bigger sponsorship deals than them? That's another conversation. But Spurs, when it comes to the commercial deals, Arsenal, PSG, Liverpool, Bayern United, Barca, and Real Madrid, they're the only teams that sit ahead of them. They do bigger business than all the other major European clubs, everybody. Them going down, and I do look at the revenue. Your revenue, they're so wealthy with money coming in. They've spent so much, they shouldn't be able to go down. When Leeds went down, it's because they spent more than, this is why FFP is important. They overspent, essentially bankrupted themselves, and they just dwindled. Spurs aren't in that position. They're still able to spend. Going down for them is absolutely crazy. And listen, if Arsenal don't win anything this year, you guys will be reprimanded, you'll be criticized, you'll be laughed at. And a lot of that is going to be fair. But Spurs going down, you have no room to maneuver. You have nothing to laugh about. Your banter is, I mean, I don't even have Arsenal fans a bit like that would be one of the, I think you'll cheer Arsenal fans up if you go down and you try and banter them for not winning a trophy, because that's just crazy to me. That is crazy, a mad one. Let's go to some of the comments that have come in here. This says, would love to see Spurs go down just because I know a few Spurs fans as friends and the banter will be great, but I definitely miss the North London derby. I get why you would miss it. I do get why you would miss it. Dan, that's cool. We'll be done by then, my friend. Moving on from this talking point. I want to speak a little bit about this weekend's big game. And it's going to be Arsenal versus Chelsea. And I suppose we'll start with the fact or fiction on this. But Ian Wright has said this. So fact or fiction, is Ian Wright correct? Arsenal will comfortably beat Chelsea 3-1. And in his words, murder them.
Who wants to start, man? The Arsenal fan with the red top on at the top? Dave,
The
I'm
Arsenal
talking to you, my friend.
Arsenal fan. Do you know what?
I see you're wearing red today, man. You're wearing red. You're wearing the right colours, my guy.
Do you know what's funny, right? Because, and I mean this, if Arsenal don't win the league, there will be a bit of me that is annoyed just because I've actually backed you. Despite everything that I think is wrong with your squad, I've still backed you. So, my club is terrible. My club is in the mud. We suck. I don't like my manager. I don't like my players. Don't like my owners. Don't like my fans. So I have no hope for this game. It's like if we do anything in this game, I'll be shocked. If we score a goal, I'll be surprised. It honestly wouldn't surprise me if Rafinha does what he did at the Emirates, thinking that can work. And we just sit back and defend and then go for it with 20 minutes to go. However, Arsenal actually asked me to win that game, though.
David, though, yeah? I was speaking to my other Arsenal fans and we were sitting there saying, oh, this could be a bit tricky when it comes to the Premier League if he decides to set up like this, you know? I'm telling you, it's not as straightforward as Arsenal fans are saying it's going to be. I don't think it's going to be that.
Do you know why that doesn't work? Because my players don't have the capability to be resolute for 90 minutes. They just don't.
Have you got any major injuries at the moment? Because every time we've seen to play, you've had injuries. What, you got any major injuries or fully fit at the moment?
I mean, Lavia's never fit, so I didn't want to count it as an injury. To my knowledge, no. But obviously, Fofana is suspended. Another red card. If we get a red card, by the way, in any game this season, we will break the record for most red cards in the Premier League season.
Record break? I tell you, you're right. You're record breakers, aren't you? It's impressive.
We are record breakers. You know what I mean? Yeah, we've got no major injuries, but there is a slight concern. I'm going to have to start tossing Adarabioyo. And even though you have Victor Gyökeres up front, Tossin's power of any time he's on the field, things going badly, does not outweighs Gyökeres's I'm bad at football. So I imagine Gyökeres will score. I imagine Eze will score because Eze needs a goal. You got anyone? Martinelli probably scores. He needs a goal. We're just giving out goals to people that need them. You know, if you've got a player that's not scored,
for me, I do think we win, but I don't think it's going to be as straightforward as people are saying because before the Tottenham game, you look at our form. Well, a couple of games before that, the Brentford draw, the Wolves draw, going 2-0 up. So for me, even after beating Tottenham, that's not a parameter for me to say, right, we're back on course and we're in form now. So this is really going to be a test, I think, for Arsenal. And it's going to be a test to see if we've really turned the corner or we're back in form. So I do think we will win, but it's not going to be as easy as people are thinking. 3-1, we're going to smash them. It's not going to be that. We've played you twice under Rossini. We didn't smash you at Stamford Bridge. We didn't smash you at home. So why are we going to smash you again?
You did. Well, you did. No. You didn't smash us score-wise at Stamford Bridge, but you did significantly outplay us.
No, we did. I was at Stamford Bridge for that game. And for me, nah, it's not going to be straightforward. I think it's a 1-0 or 2-1 we're looking at, if I'm being honest. Wouldn't be surprised if we draw, but I think we should be getting the job done. Palmer's going to be fit as well. Every time we seem to play you guys as well, Palmer's not fully fit or he's not playing. So that's the only threat that I think that you've got. That's the only worry for me. If you don't beat us, you should be walking away like very, very disappointed. Because this isn't the Chelsea of, do you know what? One day this Chelsea team just plays like prime Barcelona. Even though we've been terrible, this is not that Chelsea team. This is a Chelsea team that is just not very good. Flat out, it's just not very good. We'll see. It depends on what Arteta goes for as well. If we actually come and play and we go for it and we're not cautious in this game, then you could be in trouble. But if he goes a bit cautious, then I don't know. It could be a 50-50, if I'm being honest, David. I think you're being a bit harsh, I'll be honest. I think you're unbeaten. You're unbeaten since
Rossini's plan, by the way, Rossini's plan for the second leg makes more sense in a league game because it always had the overarching thing of Chelsea need a goal, so eventually they're going to have to come out. And on Arsenal, it's a case of we don't need the goal. If it ends 0-0, we're through. So we don't need to attack. Whereas in the league, if you get to minute 60 and it's 0-0, the Arsenal fans in the Emirates are going to start getting a bit tetchy, especially if City have got a result the day before and they're going, we can't drop more points here. It goes even more into City's hands, and that will naturally open the game up more, which should, in theory, open up counter-attacking opportunities. Now, I get what you're saying. God, I wouldn't want to rely on Tosin Adarabioyo as my centre-back if I was trying to hold a lead for 70, 80, 90 minutes. He's not very good. But don't you have that young lad from Strasbourg who you recall from loan after he couldn't get Xhaka?
Tom, he's not playing. He's not playing. He's not playing.
So play him. Play him. How do you know if he's good enough if you don't play him?
Tom, I would love for him to play, but my manager's not going to play him. Toss in
Who's
and
going to
Chalobah.
play? Can I ask you that? Because I'm not too sure. I was doing a little video earlier on of what player would you choose, an Arsenal left wing or others. Who's playing left wing for you guys on Sunday, do you think?
Pedro
I couldn't
Neto.
work it out.
Is he going to do Esteban again?
Oh God! Don't put Esteban on the left.
He likes that though, doesn't he? He likes that weird thing of putting Esteban on the left and Neto on the right. And it doesn't make sense to me.
Let Pedro Neto just go and do his.
Is Esteban back?
I think so. I don't know why he wouldn't be.
People are saying in the comments Enzo's going to be wide left. I'll have that all day long. Timber will wrap him up. All day long, I'll have that.
Yeah, he's on the left, but he's not quite on the left. He's not like playing left mid or left wing. Even it's not like that.
I mean, have we ruled out Garnacho? Have we ruled out Garnacho?
Yes.
You know, he scored twice against Arsenal in the cup. We know he knows how to find the back of the net against them. Maybe it's a case of this is his, kickstart moment in the league for Chelsea.
Choose Garnacho over Trossard. That was the one. Garnacho. They choose Garnacho. Don't know what was going through his head. Crazy stuff.
That's a mid battle, bro. You're like no one's winning.
That
should just be a blank spot. That should be a blank spot.
I mean, how do you see it going, Tom? How do you see this game panning out?
I think Arsenal are going to be very nervy, especially if they don't get a goal early on. I think that even despite the Tottenham result, which brought a bit of confidence back and a bit of happiness back, I think there's also an understanding of how dross Tottenham actually are as a team, and this is a much more serious test. I think Rafinha should do what he did to a degree in the second leg, because it makes a lot more sense to do that now when you're not at a disadvantage to start the game, when you're not already 1-0 down in theory to start the game. And
yeah, let's not forget that we drew with Chelsea in the reverse fixture, and there was down to 10 men.
Different manager. Different manager.
The thing is, Rafinha, a lot of it is going to come down to Rafinha. Is Rafinha going to go back to what he did in that second leg under the belief that it will work better now because he doesn't have to start the game in 31-0 down? Or is he, because it's a league game, going to go into it and go, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to try and play my way. I'm going to go with my philosophy, how I see football. We're going to try and impose ourselves on Arsenal, etc. I think Chelsea's performance, it matters to a degree, but I think the game will more so be decided by whatever Arsenal turns up. I think Arsenal are their own worst enemies at the minute, and I think the pressure and the expectation can weigh on them. And I think if the Arsenal players let that get to them, if the fans let that get to them in the stands, on the pitch, they're going to open a door for Chelsea that they could take, because they do have certain players that can punish them in the way that Tottenham didn't. There was points in that Tottenham game where opportunities presented themselves that the players simply didn't have the quality to take. Yeah. Now, they got one because Declan Rice handed it to him on a silver platter. But I'm talking about these chances that didn't develop out. And then you look at Chelsea getting them. Well, Cole Palmer, I know that regardless of the form he's in, I know he can take chances like that. I'm a big fan of Esteban. Esteban can take chances like that. Joao Pedro, as much as I'm aligned the signing in the summer, he's been quite good. So I know that he can take chances like that. Chelsea can punish Arsenal more than Tottenham could. So I think Arsenal just about get the job done, to be honest. I think they'll just get it over the line. I think it'll be a very nervy game. I think they'll spend the last 10 minutes back to the wall. Chelsea might hit the woodwork or something, but they'll see it through. But I think it's one of them ones where Arsenal won't leave it with a lot more confidence than going into it.
Yeah, Ray here says that Chelsea are far more dangerous than Spurs, for sure. And that's very, very true.
Ray, facts. I don't want no Arsenal fans losing themselves like Ian Wright done, got the passion, got the best of him after that Tottenham win, talking about we're just going to smash Chelsea. No, we might smash them. I'm not saying that we won't, but I think we still need to be cautious, especially after the back of those two results before Spurs. And come on, man, that Spurs team,
yeah,
a North London derby and all of that. But if you look at it in isolation and their injuries, we can't read too much into that result. Chelsea's going to be a sterner test, and their team's a lot better. So I still think we get over the line, but let's just calm down.
I agree with you. I think that Arsenal have fans, and I do think fans play a part in what our teams do. They have to go into this game humble but confident. And the reason why I use those two words is I think if you start projecting into your dressing room, it's going to be. I think that one of the reasons you really did hurt Spurs and you didn't let the nerves get to you is because the build-up all week was focus on this Spurs game. We have to. It was a must-win. But it was a focus because it's a derby and anything mad can happen. And please don't let these guys beat us. I think if you go into the Chelsea game and it's they're done, they've got Fofana out, they've dropped points in their last two games. Look what Burnley did, look what Leeds did. We're going to be okay. If you start flat-footed, if you do what you did against Man United, where you sort of scored and went, we can take it easy for 10 minutes. Chelsea have the quality to hurt you and beat you. So you guys need to be. I mean, both teams play to their optimum best. Arsenal win the game. If Chelsea are nowhere near their best, Arsenal win the game. Chelsea are going to have to be really, really good on the day, and they have an opportunity to do it on the backdrop of all these financial issues that have been announced. The last two Premier League games dropping points. I still wouldn't be writing Chelsea off completely. I think that would be disrespectful, and I think if that seeps into your dressing room and complacency sets in, Chelsea could cause a shock here. It's so likely that City have got a hard game away at Leeds. They've got a tough game away at Leeds, and there's an interesting fact. It's been 3 years since Leeds playing a game in the evening, so 5:30 or later, at Ellen Road have lost a game. They haven't lost a game in 3 years. Now, granted, a fair amount of that's in the Championship, I know, but this season very similar. Under the lights, again, if you've ever been to Leeds, I mean this with respect. I used to train about 4 or 5 times a year in their kickboxing. Leeds is rough, bruv. Like, it's rough. Like, they are, and I mean, I think most people I know from Leeds would take that as a compliment. They're rough, bruv. It's all broken noses, missing teeth, scars, and that's just the women. You know what I'm saying?
Stop that, Terry. Stop that.
It's a tough place, right? It's a tough place. And their fans, I went there years ago to watch Leyton Orient play. My brother had a spare ticket, and he couldn't drive it. His leg, he goes, "Can you drive me?" And I was like, "All right, I'll take you up there." Because Leyton Orient have got such a small family fan base, I felt so intimidated by the Leeds fans. There were times where I thought they were going to storm the pitch and just kill us, just because there was only about 400 of us that were there, right? It's raucous. So that's going to be a hard game for City. So from a Terry point of view, from an Arsenal point of view, they may also be given an opportunity to extend their lead potentially. So you need to be, and funnily enough, that's when you've probably been at your weakest this year, when you've had the opportunity to extend, not when you've had to win. When you've had to win to not get overtaken, you've done it. But when you've had the opportunity to extend the lead, so who knows what Leeds will do? Leeds might get beat 5-0 by City. They might do it, but you never know. There could be a little cheeky draw in there.
Whichever way you look at it, Tel's going to be a pressure cooker, that game against Chelsea, because if they drop points, there's pressure, and if they win, there's pressure. So every game for the rest of the season's pressure for Arsenal now, man. So we just need to
exactly, which is why I think it's so important to go in there with the right mindset, the right attitude. I wouldn't risk upsetting the football gods by slagging off Chelsea. I'd be very complimentary, even if I didn't mean it. I would just do everything, all your P's and Q's, your airs and graces. You got to get the whole thing right, because I think it's going to be an amazing game. Right now, if I was going to do a prediction, right now, I'm going 3-2. I think it's going to be high scoring. I think there's going to be a lot of end-to-end play. I think it's going to be... I also am predicting a red card as well.
Well, we know who's getting that.
Yeah! You know what? As an outside bet, right? This is just a hot take. Caicedo to get another red card.
Nah, Robert. I'm going Robert Sanchez.
Rob Sanchez could be. Yeah, 2-2, and then there's a red card in the last 10 minutes. Go on to win. Yeah.
Let's just see. Let's see what happens anyway. It's going to be a good game anyway. I'm looking forward to going down there to watch it. Make sure we get the win. Don't hate me, Arsenal fan, but I'm looking forward to seeing Cole Palmer, man. I like watching top players play football, innit? Obviously, I don't want them to do nothing against Arsenal, but yeah, I'm looking forward to it, man.
In terms of top players, what's your thoughts on sort of the improvement recently in Gyökeres?
Hey, listen. I have to eat my words, man. I was his biggest critic. Didn't see this coming. I said give him some more time, but of Reece, that last game that he had against Tottenham, like I keep saying, it was against Tottenham, was against a bad Tottenham side, but the way he took those goals, forget about the goals, it was his touch for me. It was his football. That's what it was about against Tottenham. So for me, he looks like he's coming good. And we might have to eat our words about Victor Gyökeres. A lot of us Arsenal fans have been on his back, including myself. So I'm right behind him. Pause, man. I'm there with Victor Gyökeres now. And I think next season we could maybe see a top striker in the Premier League in Victor Gyökeres. Just feed in the ball. He needs service. That's what he needs. Yeah, I'm confident once he gets that ball in front of goal, it's going in the back of the net. It's just getting him there and giving him them opportunities. That's what I think.
Look at what Dr. Tottenham have done here. Playing against Dragusin has now done this for £60 million, Victor Gyökeres.
And who did he beat? Gray? Was it Archie Gray that he done over for the second goal?
Yeah.
That was no strength.
19-year-old centre mid playing out of position at right back stroke centre back, and he muscled him and ran away like, oh, I'm the big I am. Dr. Tottenham have struck well and truly for Gyökeres, as they have done twice this year for Eberechi Eze. And I need to see it in a game that's against someone that isn't real relegation fodder. And I need to see, because it was a good performance. It was a good performance. Dragusin, I don't know what Dragusin was doing on his first goal. Like Dragusin decided he was just going to watch him take a touch and watch him have a shot, despite the fact all he needs to do was step over. But that's by the by. I still don't think he is. If Arsenal had you got a Carabao Cup final, haven't you? If Arsenal got to that Carabao Cup final and Kai Havertz was fit and had played minutes beforehand to be relatively match sharp, I still think he's Arteta's first choice.
You're probably right with that, Tom, if I'm being honest. And we had this argument as well. Champions League final, who would you start, Gyökeres or Havertz? And if they're both fit, man, it's still questionable right now.
Looking at this season, I'd keep Odegaard out of the team and start Kai Havertz there with Gyökeres ahead of him. That's when
That's
probably
what I was
look
going to say about Chelsea. I don't want to see Odegaard in that starting lineup for Chelsea. Don't want to see him.
Well, yeah, I mean, Eze's had a bit of a confidence issue, but after the way he performed, I mean, what an opportunity for someone like Eze to continue that form, score, potentially score again against Chelsea, get that confidence. Because if you can get Eze in this back end of the season performing like he did at Crystal Palace, scoring goals, being influential, if you guys can get Gyökeres on the score sheet again and get him into a run of form, like a run of form and into a purple patch, it increases your ability to win the league by so much. Just having some players that teams suddenly become a little bit aware of, a little bit scared of, and everything else. And it should be, I think after a game like they both had, especially Eze, I don't think Odegaard should just walk straight back into the team.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. No one knows what's going through the gaffer's head, so
we do know though, don't we? He's not going to not play as captain.
This is what I'm concerned about, Tom. And if that does happen, then my confidence goes down even more. But then again, you said it, Tom. It was against Tottenham, though, innit? So let's just wait until Sunday and see what happens. If we go ahead and beat Chelsea,
I see him being pretty cautious against Chelsea, because I think he's, as long as it stays in Arsenal's hands, because I know you've got to play City at the Etihad, haven't you? As long as Arsenal can get to that game and have it be where, as long as City don't win, Arsenal stay in front, I think that's just Arteta's priority right now. He's not trying to. I don't think Arteta's looking at the Chelsea game as a must-win. I think he's looking at it as a must-not-lose.
I'm more worried about the Brighton game than the Chelsea game, I'll be honest with you.
Brighton are dross.
That's the one I'm worried about. These are the type. Well, we would say that about Wolves as well, wouldn't we? Yeah, and Brentford, I was expecting us to smash them as well. Brighton's the one I'm concerned about.
Yeah, but the thing with Brentford and Wolves is Brentford and Wolves are teams that will accept their limitations and play in them and drop in and sit in a low block. And you're not very good against a low block, all things considered. I think Arsenal really struggle against low blocks. Brighton are one of them stupid teams that even when they're crap, will try and live and die by a philosophy that doesn't work.
Yeah, it hasn't been. It just ain't been a good team.
I don't see them dropping into a low block and forcing you into the wide areas and putting in crosses which you're not going to connect with in the way that Brentford did and in the way that what they call Wolves did. So I don't see Brighton being that dodgy one for Arsenal in the way that those two were.
Recent years, Brighton, we've struggled against them. We drew with them last year. I think we drew twice with them last year, maybe. So, yeah, recent years, it hasn't always been easy against Brighton. So I'm not taking that game lightly either. I do think we'll win, but I'm still not saying that that's a gimme. I'm telling you.
I hear you, man. Viewers, would love to get your opinions on that in that comment section below. Gents, listen, I want to thank you all very much for joining us on the show today. To all of our viewers, everyone who's hit the like button, thank you very, very much indeed. We're back tomorrow. We'll have the draw for the Champions League knockout phase live tomorrow from 11 a.m. right here on the Football Terrace, plus straight facts in the afternoon with Don and Staffy. And Tom Little will be on with us then, previewing the weekend and reacting to what will then be the draw for the Champions League as well. Listen, everyone who's tuned in, thank you. Take care. Goodbye. God bless. And we're going to see you guys all again very, very soon. Peace.